Michelle, do we have any public or actionable agenda items, public comment items? None? Okay. Next on our agenda is the consent agenda. We've got 6 items on the consent agenda. Does anybody care to talk about them individually, any of these individually? If not, we'll take a motion. We got one.
Second.
Got a second. Any other discussion? We got 2 seconds.
Just pick your.
Who was the first?
Sandra.
Sandra.
Sandra motion, Warren second.
Thank you.
All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we got some introductions to make. John, you want to introduce
Yes, I'd like to start with...
your all-star?
Yes, all-star for sure. Andy comes to us, he's got over 30 years experience in the industry. He's got a master's degree, and he's got every credential in the industry that you can imagine, and drove up here from Florida for the interview. And we feel like he's a great fit for the team also, so winner all the way around. He was around
Does he got a name?
Yes, and a Slammer.
Okay. I didn't hear you say it.
Yeah.
Welcome,
Thanks for
Andy.
the opportunity. I look forward to meeting everybody.
You a Florida fan or
I am.
Florida State fan?
Used to be.
It's probably the only downside. Tried and true, buddy.
Well, welcome to the team. Welcome to the team. And
Got a couple more to introduce
Yep,
since you
yep.
all haven't met them.
Randy, you want to do yours?
This is April Pettigo. She's our assistant customer service manager. She's been in the job now about 4 years, but I'm just now bringing her around. She does a phenomenal job.
And maybe your last meeting.
And
We bring you so late, and maybe her last meeting.
A few years.
Yeah. Welcome.
Actually,
Welcome.
is today your anniversary?
15 years.
15 years.
very nice.
And then I have a couple more introductions just because y'all haven't met them before. They were here representing Donald and the water distribution side for the hydraulic hammer that was on the consent agenda. But we have Roger Gunner, who's our assistant operations manager over the distribution system.
Welcome,
Then
Roger.
Mickey Williams,
Mickey?
and he heads up our construction crew. And then Billy Sullivan,
Hey, Billy.
construction crew as well.
You left one
I
out?
have that right?
No?
You've met him before.
Oh, yeah.
They have.
Oh,
they
yeah.
have. Oh, yeah, I forgot you came with Adam, another meeting. I forgot about that. All right.
All right. We got everybody?
Yep.
Very good. Next, the third item are the minutes from December 9th. Does anybody have any additions or corrections to the minutes of December 9th? If not, then we'll accept the minutes as presented. Thank you, Michelle. I think, was it you that did it? Marilyn. Thank Marilyn. Fourth item on our agenda is consider the contingency fund for the Thompson Lane widening.
Yes. So, we had a meeting yesterday, so a portion of this memo is changed. We had a meeting with TDOT yesterday afternoon to discuss our contract that we have currently with them. The department deposited, and you can see under the construction cost estimate line, paid as of this month, we deposited with TDOT $12,740,000 and some change. When we were meeting with TDOT yesterday, our engineer let me know that when he was creating the cost estimates to give to TDOT, he accidentally did not split his engineering costs to be the water portion of the design with the water cost estimate and the sewer portion of the design with the sewer cost estimate. And collectively, those equaled the $12,740. But he ended up putting the total amount of engineering with water and the total amount of engineering for sewer. So even though we've deposited the $12.7 million, really and truly, we only needed to deposit around $212,000 less, and that's the difference in the engineering costs. So when we met with TDOT, which I couldn't get a meeting with them prior to this memo, when we met yesterday, They said that we did not have any contract revisions to make, because I thought there would be a contract revision because of the cost estimate change. But what they will do is they will keep the entire deposit amount. One reason being is because they haven't even received bids yet. The project is expected to bid, and they're supposed to receive bids sometime in June. So I will come back in June and let you know what those bids were, hopefully at the June meeting. I'm not sure what the date of the bid opening is, but I will try and find that information out and bring it back to the June meeting to let you know what the bids came in as. They will not require us, even if the bids come in above the 12.7 million, they will not require us to deposit additional funds up front. But at the end of the project, they would require us to deposit what would be remaining to cover the cost of the project. The 12, also want to note, is the 12.7 million is not the total cost of the project. That does not include what TDOT will pay in, which is 1.75 million towards the water side and 1.75 million towards the sewer side. So all in all, right now, this table I wanted to show you all is what our costs have been up to this point. And I'll go down the middle column. The recording fees for easements that we have acquired is around $1,200. Our easement purchases so far that have been paid out to the homeowners is $654,000. We've also put in $454,000 into Rutherford County Court. We are now have filed for condemnation for all the remaining easements. And if the court dates go all as planned, we should have either order of possession or right of entries by May the 8th. And we reported that to TDOT today. The appraisal costs up till now, we've paid out $173,000. This was previously approved by you all. We have about $20,000 left that hasn't been billed to us. We've had about $660 for a server to serve the property owners with the papers. And then our engineering design is there. We have about $800,000 that's been approved. We've spent $756,000, a little over, to date. And then, so our total project expenses combined that we know of today are $14.8 million. And I just wanted to update you all on that. I was going to suggest but I don't know that there's a reason to vote on this right now, and at the time I thought there would be a contract revision. I was going to suggest to not ask for the overpayment that we did to TDOT back, but leave it in there as a contingency fund. And it turns out TDOT would want it that way anyway, not necessarily as a contingency fund, but they typically don't refund monies until the end of the project, if there is a refund at all. Something to keep in mind is on these TDOT projects, and on our projects, not through TDOT, we typically have a contingency fund for unforeseen conditions and little things that come up, and those, you've seen us bring those to you all for approval, but there's no need to vote on that like the
Is the motion
memo
for
states.
$12,740,000?
There's not a need to make a motion.
No motion, okay.
No, we've already approved that 12.7 million,
All right.
and that's been paid in when we approved the contracts. So this is mainly just for information
Any
at this
questions for
point.
Valerie? If not, we'll go to our next item, is the sewer participation in the Home Place subdivision.
Okay. So the right-hand side of the slide is a plan that has been formulated by city and a consultant engineer to come up with land use in an area between I-24 and Florence Road along the proposed Stones Battle Parkway. And you can see that heavy red line is the alignment of the tentative alignment of Stones Battle Parkway between Florence Road and I-24. So in reviewing this plan with the consultants, and knowing what the land use is intended to be, they sent staff a spreadsheet, and we calculated what the sewer capacity was going to be needed based on the acreage in this yellow heavy line and the proposed use. In doing that, we determined that it needed an 18-inch sewer main. It's always been planned for Stones, for this area, even though Stones Battle Parkway wasn't planned way back when. But if you look on the left-hand picture of the slide, there's a red heavy line kind of in the lower right. That is a stubbed sewer main from the Overall Creek Interceptor to Florence Road. Florence Road kind of runs north-south there in that bottom right-hand corner. So if you'll see the Home Place subdivision, it came in for review, and we realized that the 18-inch stub there, the Home Place subdivision, was practically designed, and they were extending a 12-inch sewer main through the subdivision, and they needed that to be able to get extra depth and serve the subdivision by gravity. But the 12-inch wouldn't give us the capacity we needed. So we asked the engineer to, and let me back up. The Stones Battle Parkway and that yellow on the right-hand side, in that yellow defined area, was always intended to be served by a pump station and pump back to Florence Road, because it falls away from Florence Road, so the 18-inch couldn't extend by gravity to serve that entire area. But with the Home Place construction, if we don't extend this 18-inch kind of along the red and green dashed line there through the left-hand picture, then we were cutting ourselves off from having a good connection point back to the 18-inch sewer main. So hence the reason to participate with the Home Place subdivision, so we don't cut ourselves off from a tie-in point to serve the larger area in that yellow with a combination of gravity sewer, a pump station, strategically located and pumped back to this Home Place subdivision. So it's about 2,000 feet of 18-inch upsizing, I take that back, 1,800 feet of upsizing sewer from 12-inch to 18-inch. And then there's about 200 feet of 8-inch that we're sizing from 8 to 18. And then there's some sewer services in there.
Is there sewer through this whole yellow area?
There's not sewer there. The master plan for that area is a pump station strategically placed and pumping back to this 18-inch that we are extending.
So we won't need to be installing any sewer lines ourselves?
No, not at this time. Now, when Stones Battle Parkway, if it continues to develop and the city constructs Stones Battle Parkway, we may have we'll either...
But that whole area is not going to be funneled through this bottom right-hand corner, is it?
Yes, it will be,
And is that big enough?
for the most part, yes. Based on their land use,
You're
it
talking about
is.
the whole,
In the defined yellow area, yes,
not just the Richland, but the whole,
right,
whatever this connection is going to be sufficient.
yes. And based on the defined area and their proposed zoning and land development use. Now, and if it's not, basically they would have to, and we've kind of told planning that they may have to back off some of the density to upsize this 18-inch main, and I don't have it with me. I didn't anticipate the question well, but there is a good length of this 18-inch for the most part that would have to be upsized, and it's through developed residential subdivisions. So that would be difficult to do. I think it would be wise for them to reduce the density because I don't feel like that, I think it would be an overburden on recouping those costs from the connections like we normally do with an assessment district. We more than likely will have some type of assessment district for this area to recoup our costs on service in the future.
When you say density, do we have an idea of what's the term used, single-family equivalents?
They view, yes, single-family
Do we know the
equivalents. They've told us there's so many acres for suburban residential, which is single-family detached homes. There was so many acreage for commercial. There was just a little bit of acreage for industrial, and then some for a little higher density, such as townhomes.
Okay.
So they have a little mixture use for the area. Our participation would come from working capital reserves. After the sewer is constructed through the subdivision and tested and accepted, we would still get a 3-year warranty period per our normal contract because the developer will install this, but the participation amount would be $281,000.
And we're
to
going
go
from 12 to 18.
12 to 18, and then there's a portion of 8 to 18.
What's the time frame of all this, the yellow here, Stones Meadow Parkway, the rest of this? Do we have a frame of reference from a timing standpoint?
You know, Darren, you might can help with that. I think it's very future, probably 5, 10, 15 years, maybe even 20.
Right, so this area so Cherry Lane is from 840 over to Memorial. I just got a revised schedule from engineering or public infrastructure that showed that section of Cherry Lane, that connection, we're looking at having that in place by 2029, 2030. This area here, there's no defined timeline. The biggest, I'll call it a conundrum that we have is whether or not TDOT is going to let us have an interchange on I-24. If they give us an interchange, which that depiction shows, it's a different land use right around the interchange. You have different development patterns and more commercial, you have more employment generating type uses. There's a chance that they don't give us that interchange. And if that's the case, you're just going to have a flyover bridge over I-24. And basically all of that land is going to be residential. So nothing's going to happen until, and of course you got the choice lanes that are going on right now. And even TDOT is saying, we're not making the decision of this interchange. The developer of the choice lanes is going to decide whether or not to construct this interchange. So big part of this plan was to feed data to try to justify the interchange and show TDOT and the developer of the choice lanes that, hey, this is what you get if you give us, these are the major arterials all the way from Memorial to 840 and 840 to I-24, and we're going to put traffic on your choice lanes, right, and create revenue for your choice lane project. So, but as far as this has not been funded, this is a future CIP item that the city council has not even earmarked any money for at this point. So it could be 2035, 2040 before something like this happens.
All right. Any other questions for Valerie?
Make a motion to approve this upgraded 18-inch.
Yeah, it seems to make sense if we're going
Yeah.
to do that to fund the whole area,
Yeah.
I make a motion to approve the 281 to,
Pay for it now instead of paying for it later.
yeah.
Second.
Got a motion and a second? Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is the customer CIS roadmap. Mr. Doug Swan, are you taking the wheel? Or is Valerie, are you explaining?
I'll take this one.
This is informational, so we're not voting on it.
Yes, no vote required. We just, basically, things have been on our radar for a while, and as a result of the the business process review that y'all approved and we had done in November, and then a conference that we attended in December, we realized there's some things we need to get on the radar to start doing, and then kind of develop a roadmap to accomplish that. Also to sequence it with what needs to be done before something else can be done. We got to get it in the right order. So I thought it'd be a good time to bring to y'all kind of what that roadmap is as an overview, and then we'll bring the items to you as we get them priced out, bid, quoted, and ready to move forward. So, are you okay? Well, this goes back to 2013 and 14 when we put in our first CIS. We moved from our legacy COBOL system we'd had for 25 years or more to this new system. Analogy was moving from the Flintstones to the Jetsons. And we were very successful with that, and we've been using it for, I guess since June of 2014 is when we went live. And it's been very successful. But we're to a point to where we need to improve some other ancillary softwares and systems to kind of fully utilize the software. All I gotta do is that. All right. The first thing, currently we are nearing completion of an advanced metering infrastructure software upgrade to Itron to Metro. This is from the software when we first put in the AMI was in late 2015 to mid 2017. Did all 27,000 units with ERTs, where we basically were reading through collectors and repeaters here in town. And we're now we're still using the same system, but this is moving to a cloud-based data storage. So we're going from on-prem or on-premises data storage to the cloud. The portal for this offers much better customer experience. I'm kind of laughing because it blinked, and it didn't blink till I started. And moving to Itron is moving to a cell-based data capture, which by the mid-2030s, I believe they're going to have phased out all their local collection services like repeaters and collectors. That right now most repeaters are on telephone poles, collectors, most of them are on water tanks. They're going to a cell-based. So that's close to 10 years out, and we have a plan with Adam working on a plan to start implementing and moving to the cell-based ERTs over several years so that we don't get in the early 2030s and be crunched to move forward. The next step that sequencing that we need to do is the electronic bill presentment and payment, EBPP. Basically, that will be a vendor. There's a couple that work very closely with our software vendor that takes care of sending out electronic bills. They're very proactive about getting customers to convert from a paper bill to an e-bill. One of the big improvements is the payment varieties. Right now, people can either cash or check. They can set up an auto draft, which we've been pretty successful with, but a lot of people just don't want somebody going in and pulling money out of their account. Or else a credit card. And every time somebody pays with a credit card, they have to enter all 16 digits and all that information every month. A new vendor will be able to allow a memorized, a stored credit card information. They'll be able to do a text to bill, text to pay. They'll accept a variety of payment options like Google Pay, Apple Pay, Venmo. So with the younger people and more people working off their phones, it'll greatly increase that. And moving to e-bill will also save a lot of money over time in reducing our cost. Right now, postage has been going up and up. Right now, it's at 74 cents for a first-class letter. And you add that to the printing cost, we're probably pushing $1 per bill now to get it printed and mailed. So we'll save money there as this vendor is able to convert people to e-billing. And again, I mentioned all the payment options that will be so very greatly improved. We feel that this is actually sequentially needs to be the first thing we do, which actually from a bang for the buck standpoint is the best for our customers. Next will be updating and tuning our software. we realized during our business process review in November, there were several, as I call them, aha moments, where the lady who was here, who knows a lot about this software, had key points for our staff of things they could do now that would make their life in CIS a little simpler, but also a lot of improvements by moving up to a newer build, to the most recent build. There's a lot of billing enhancements and a lot of reporting enhancements that are available, and so that's the next step. But we need to do the payment vendor first and then update the software. Next is backflow device software, which we have a vendor selected, but we got to go through the process of basically working with the vendor, which again is a vendor that's a priority vendor for advanced utilities. But this software will integrate with the CIS system. The current, what we use now, I kind of think technology time has passed its by. It was good about, what, 10 years ago? When they started using it, but now it's kind of inefficient. Guys have to do stuff out in the field, bring it back to the office to input into the system. We're having to do imports and exports between CIS software and this software. The new software will be integrated with CIS, so it'll be seamless, and it will greatly improve the efficiency of the guys out in the field. So that's our next on our list there. After that, customer engagement portal. Basically what that does is pull together consumption data, which is going to be on Itron on the cloud, and then our billing and payment data, which will be with our new EBPP vendor, into one portal, into one platform. So customers can go one place. Right now they have to go two places. They have to have a user password for billing and payments and a user password for consumptions. So this will pull those into one platform and make it much easier for our customers. After that is another meter reading software upgrade. Basically, we're looking at systems that will be able to utilize CityWorks that we're using now with O&M. Looking at improving, we're either looking at a direct interface between CIS and CityWorks where they'll talk to each other live, or there's also possibility of a third-party mobile software that can be used in the field, and that will be integrated back to CIS also. So what that does from a CityWorks standpoint is the far right. It allows for both service orders, which our AMI guys do, which is a lot of times meter changes, and they can get into more complex stuff, but sometimes it takes the guys from O&M to do something. That way they'll both be on the same platform at CityWorks. Information will integrate back to CIS, and the customer service reps here will be able to see what's done at one place without having to try to log into CityWorks to see something, or CIS to try to see if somebody's done something with their meter or something like that. And last on the list is kind of a two-step process. First, upgrading our software. We're on version 4 right now. We've been live on it for about 3.5 years, since October 22. So we've been on it about 3.5 years, and it was a few years old when we upgraded to it. So their next version is kind of a web-based interface, a lot more enhancements and integrations, a much better end-user interface, and a much more secure architecture. Once we get that implemented, we want to use it for a while and then move to the cloud. The idea with moving to the cloud is within about 5 years. We've just now installed our new VxRail servers that last week and week before. You look at 5 to 6 years use of them, so what I'm hoping is by the time it's time to look at VxRails again, we'll take this data from version 5 and move it to the cloud, which is where cities moving a lot of stuff to the cloud, and it's a much more secure environment. Some utilities have tried to do both at one time, upgrade to version 5 and move to the cloud, and one session I went to at the conference was kind of a nightmare. So we've talked to them about just getting it on premises first, here locally, get it running good, and then move it to the cloud. Then it's kind of 2 different contracts to have to do. So it's a little bit less painful doing it that way. All of these items, I think I put in the memo, will probably take a minimum of 2 years. But and we'll try to stage them as well as possible. Nothing ever goes smooth. Or as Adam can attest, the Tometra upgrade has taken quite a bit longer than we hoped, but we're close. But these are the things I think that we need to do, and next month, hopefully, we'll bring back to y'all the electronic bill presentment and payment vendor request to get moving on that. I think they're talking about a 60 to 90 day implementation for both vendors. And we'll get the ball rolling on this, on the journey.
I think good. Have you got any idea what this might cost?
Just to the nearest 100.
Yeah, to the nearest 100 or the nearest million? No, not really. Some of these, like the cloud, some of that is gonna be, they're gonna make money off credit card fees, basically. So it's,
Looks like you got your work cut out for you.
yeah, some of it's lower cost than others, some's more expensive. The V5 is probably gonna be, the last piece is gonna be the expensive piece, moving to a brand new version. But I hope to next month I'll bring back kind of an estimate of cost, updated CIP numbers.
Well, it's really important to be on the forefront of technology, and hopefully this gets us there.
Yeah, yes.
You've already selected the vendors?
Well, CIS, or the vendor has two that have a live interface and integration with the software. So
Okay.
hopefully one of those two, they each kind of have their pros and cons. So we'll try to select one of them to present to y'all next month for that piece.
All right. Anybody else have a question for Doug? Speaking of
Randy and
tech,
April weren't shaking their head while I was talking, were they? Were they nodding?
speaking of technology, our last item is improvements to the OSHG process. So Alan, you gonna take this?
I'm going to start with it, sir, and then I'm going to turn it over to Luke Williams here with SSR. So if everyone remembers, brought the on-site hypochlorite generation system to the board several months ago. So our on-site hypochlorite generation was put in 2008 when it started up. So we're almost at the 20-year mark. It definitely needs an upgrade. And so Luke's going to kind of cover that, and then once he's finished, both he and I will be available to answer any questions that you have.
Well, Luke, we're glad that they finally brought the heavy hitters from SSR here.
I've had the privilege of serving Murfreesboro for over 9 years, and this is the first time I've actually been called up to do a presentation. So I appreciate Alan for covering me for so many years, but I'm glad to finally be at the table and being able to do this. So a lot of acronyms on here, and so before we got too far into this, I wanted to at least provide a little overview of what is OSHG. And every single time I see that, I'm always getting confused in my own head with those letters. But it's on-site sodium hypochlorite generation, and so it's essentially what Murfreesboro uses to create their disinfection that they use in their water treatment process. There's a couple different options out there of what different utilities use, whether it's using chlorine gas to inject into the water, buying a bulk bleach, and then what Murfreesboro does is they take a combination of salt, water, and electricity, and they actually create sodium hypochlorite on site. And so it's actually a little bit lower dilution bleach than what you would normally go buy in your grocery store, or it's usually around 12.5% is what you'd find over the counter. And this comes out to about a 0.8% bleach. And so there's a lot of benefits of why this was originally chosen for Murfreesboro. And as you can see in the second bullet point, it gives Murfreesboro a lot of autonomy in terms of how they can manage their resources. And they're not waiting on distributors to be able to provide them their most essential chemical in the actual treatment plant process. And then from a safety overview, it's way far safer than anything that's required with chlorine gas, which was used. A lot of utilities are phasing out of that, and so this has been a staple technology for you guys since 2008, and it's something that Murfreesboro continues to see as an important technology going forward in the treatment process. So your system itself, this is was installed originally back in 2008, and you have the Chlortec system. And it's 2 900-pound per day generators, which means that's how much bleach you can generate on a single day of production. And so in that process, you've got generators that are actually taking that electricity, the salt and the water, and turning it into the bleach. You've got the rectifiers that are helping convert that electricity into the bleach process, and then you've got your metering pumps for dosing your bleach. And then your storage tanks where all your bleach actually goes to. And so that's what you guys have right now, and that's what we're looking to replace. A little bit of an overview of where sodium hypochlorite is actually used in your treatment process. It's injected in 2 different locations, at the pre-treatment process and then post-treatment before it goes into the clear wells and out in the distribution system. And this sodium hypochlorite is also used in the cleaning process of your membranes, both in the CIP and the EFM process. Any questions on that? That's a cool graphic. I just like to pause on that because it's a helpful thing.
Where are we?
Down in that bottom left corner, I think.
All right, sorry.
Oh, good. So project timeline, you guys, we've obviously been talking about this for a long time, so just wanted to put a big ribbon on this and kind of talk about the process. So the original system was installed back in 2008 in the last major expansion at the water plant. And then in 2020 was the first time that we started to actually see, okay, it's time to start thinking about the replacement of the system based off of the useful life on it. So December 2020 is the first time and ended up on the CIP. March 2024 is when we actually started this first phase of this project. And that first phase of the project was an evaluation process to determine, because of the large capital cost to replace this equipment, was, okay, does it make sense to replace this technology in individual pieces as we go, or does it make sense in one fell swoop to come and just replace all the equipment? And then after about a year of studies, we concluded that it was best to just go ahead and replace the system overall, and so we finalized that in March 2025, and then after that, we started to go into the review process of saying, okay, we know we're going to replace this system. Which manufacturer do we want to go back with? And then after that, we were able to put together a report, and I delivered that to Alan and his team in December 2025. And here we are today, looking forward to hopefully here in the next month or so start the full design of the actual replacement of that system. So going into a little bit of details of the process, that first step in that March 2024 evaluation, like I mentioned, it was a large ticket item, and there was a lot of other things that were pressing needs for Murfreesboro at the time. And so Murfreesboro wanted to make sure that y'all were providing the due diligence to make sure, okay, what makes sense for us to do? Can we get by and pushing this off a couple more years and replacing the pieces as we go, or does it make sense to just go ahead and replace it? And during that evaluation, we ultimately were able to determine that it makes sense and most cost economically to go ahead and replace it overall. And we had a couple different design aspects of that in there, and had the actual manufacturer representative come out there and look at it and get his opinion on, okay, does it make sense to go in different parts or just one big replacement? And so that took about a year of time, and ultimately we said it's best to just go ahead and replace the system overall. So after that, like I said, we moved in the manufacturer comparison phase, and as part of that process, we looked at 3 different manufacturers. Like I said, the Stones River Water Treatment Plant currently uses Chlortec, and so we wanted to look at some other users that had some newer systems for Chlortec and seeing if they had any improvements that would ultimately make Murfreesboro want to continue to stick with this system. Microchlor is a competitor that we're seeing a lot of folks actually move, and then Myox, we looked at them as well. During that manufacturer comparison process, we went to 3 different site visits. We went to Bowling Green to look at their Myox facility. We went down to Cobb County Marietta Water Authority that had the newer Chlortec system, and then we went up the road to Gallatin to look at their microchlor system. And honestly, during the process, the Stones River Water Treatment Plant staff has the best Chlortec system, and we would have liked to just been able to stay at home and just be able to look at that in more detail because they are the poster child for Chlortec in terms of how you should operate a system. But even in that, there's some deficiencies in that equipment that there's a better technology out there. And so really just wanted to say that as a ode to Alan and his crew out there, and for how well they keep that system, even with the headaches that it's caused for them over the years. As that process, we reviewed 7 different criteria trying to determine which of these 3 manufacturers was going to be, to determine which manufacturer we were going to replace this equipment with. And in that process, in those site visits, we ultimately got rid of Myox right after that first site visit. After making that site visit and talking with the utility out there and hearing some of their concerns, we said we don't even want to go any further on that. And so after making all of our site visits, it was a 2-dog race between Chlortec and Microchlor. And you can see here, this is the manufacturer comparison memo, high score that scoring matrix that we put together to ultimately determine that Microchlor was the manufacturer that we would like to move forward with as part of this replacement. And so there's the 7 different criteria that we looked at, both operability, performance, reliability, maintenance, manufacturer support, footprint, and then overall cost. And so Valerie, Alan's team, and SSR all weighed into these different scoring processes, and you can tell it was close, but ultimately Microchlor came ahead. So as part of the next steps of what will actually happen in this process is the full design scope is we'll actually put in 2 1,000 pound per day Microchlor OSG generators, because that's what Microchlor makes, and so you actually have a little bit larger of a system than what you have now. We're going to go and replace all of the pumps in the process, both the brine dosing pumps, which pulls the salt into the OSG system, and then also all the dosing pumps that are downstream of that. And so those 2 items are different that were originally in the CIP. Back when this came into the CIP back in December of 2020, it was just for a straight replacement of the actual OSG equipment. And to Alan's point, as the actual pumping equipment has exceeded its useful life as well. And so we said, okay, as part of this design project, rather than doing it in bits and pieces, it's best to just do this as one large OSG project. And so we're adding into the replacement of the pumps as part of this scope. And then there's miscellaneous process, structural, MEP, and INC improvements of just updating this close to 20-year-old equipment that's exceeded its useful life. And so what we're looking at right now in terms of total cost is we're somewhere around $3.5 million. Microchlor scope is the biggest part of that, followed by the Watson Marlowe pumps. Those are the 6 pumps that I just mentioned. You have your contractor installation costs, the miscellaneous process improvements of just trying to find efficiencies and different improvements along the way as you're putting in this new technology. Miscellaneous structural improvements for pulling in this new system. MEP improvements, that is something that we're currently evaluating on what we can do there. It's a placeholder number, but right now the tank facility where all your bleach is stored is only heated, it's not conditioned. And so in order to improve the overall operations of that facility and make things a little bit more comfortable for the actual operations staff, we're going to try and provide a little bit of conditioning in there to make things a little bit more smoother. And so that's a placeholder number that we're still evaluating to see if we're going to go forward with. And then all the INC improvements that are tied into getting all of this equipment tied back into the SCADA system for Murfreesboro. And then you have your contractor overhead profit, and then just a general contingency item in case anything that might come up. And so we're looking at a construction cost of about $3.5 million right now to complete the full OPC, to complete the full OSG replacement.
What's the timeline on that?
Great question.
Here we go.
The timeline is we were hoping to bring the task order to Murfreesboro at the next board meeting, and so this was more of a precursor to let you guys, like I said, we've been talking about this project for over 2 years, and it's been on our mind for 6 years, and so wanted to provide this as an informational session so that hopefully next month it's a little bit smoother for everybody. We provide our kickoff meeting in April as soon as hopefully that task order is approved. We're expecting the design to be complete no later than January of next year, and then construction we're anticipating to last no more than 12 months based off the current scope. So got a little bit under 2 years ahead of us until this project's finally complete. So I'm an engineer at best, and when I get nervous, I talk a lot, and so that was fast, and that was a lot of information, but I wanted to at least give you guys an opportunity to ask any questions for me with all of that information that I just spewed on you.
Water quality is about the most important thing we've got.
Back to the original picture.
This one?
And there's how many of those are there?
So there's two pieces of equipment. So there's two cells on that one. Each cell is 450 pounds per day, and then there's 2 units. The one reason we selected microchlor over this is microchlor has 5 smaller cells, and if you pull a cell out, you can produce you can produce 80%.
Okay.
So you can still produce hypochlorite. With these, you pull a cell out, that whole generator is down. So we have a lot more redundancy by going with microchlor, which was not available at the time we put this in. I mean, technology has changed a lot over the years. And even these cells have changed. These are acrylic cells that you see. You can actually see the metal cells inside of it. So that housing is acrylic. The new cells or housings that they are creating are fiberglass, so you can't see the cell. And that's one of the things that we do not like, because you can't tell what condition that cell is getting in. Is there an issue that's coming up that can be resolved or whatever? It's just there. So the good thing with microchlor, all 5 of those cells are the housings are acrylic, so you can see the cells in that as well. Typically these things are cleaned once a year. We didn't clean them for like 5 years. They look brand new. And then we changed salts, which we no longer change salts. And within 3 months, it just messed everything up. We've only had to replace, I think, 3 cells total. We've had to replace 2 of the housings. So it's total of 5 housings. But 2 of those cells were destroyed because we changed the salt. And it basically looked like metal-eating beavers. That was what everybody used. I mean, the metal was just disintegrating inside of there. We went back to the Morton salt, and that's all we use now. We don't even allow anybody else to bid it. So you may have multiple bidders bidding Morton salt. That's the only thing that we take now for that reason, because those cells were $45,000 back in 2014, 2015. Now they're $90,000 per cell. So cost has gone up dramatically. But that's kind of where we're at. The microchlor definitely gives us more redundancy and leadway to do what we're doing in the event something happens.
Look forward to it.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Alan or Luke? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Anything on the dashboard, Valerie?
Well, we haven't changed our CIP from last month. We are meeting with Jackson Thornton tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Cost of service will be next month.
Next meeting, right, they'll present the cost of service.
But other than that, I really don't have anything to point out.
$300 million.
There is a new page that we put in last month in the dashboard, which is a cumulative year-to-date CIP. It's just past the graph for the working capital reserve. But it shows of the work orders that are currently in process, how much was approved originally, what the balance remaining on that was July 1 of 25, how much in work orders or CIP y'all have approved this fiscal year to date, how much money's been spent on those work orders, and then what the remaining balance is.
Lots of money, but we got the best system in the state, don't we? Best department in the state.
2B. Oh, wait, no, 2C. I think, is that right, Doug, or is it 2B? It's the page, yeah.
Yeah,
That's the
that's
page
it.
we're speaking of.
So that's in the dashboard now. We'll have that in every month. I thought this just gave a good year-to-date picture of the amount of work that's been approved and how much money we've spent so far this year. So unless you see the balances due, remaining work.
A lot of this money we spend, plus we're able to keep our rates down to a level where it's below, the socioeconomic threshold that we have, so that's very important. Anything else? Val, or anything else?
That's all I have.
All right, thanks everybody for coming. Will you stand adjourned?
Thank you.